welcome back to Studioloo. So today I'm here with part 7 of the Traveler's Notebook Make-Along that's being hosted by Wishes and Weeds on YouTube. So we are making pages 5, 6, 51, 52. So as you know, if you've been following along with me, I'm making 2 of these journals. So I make the first one in like my own kind of make along with Nancy as she's making hers, and I just watch her video and make along with her. I find it a very comfortable time to just kind of collect my supplies and make along with her, and I don't have to like watch the video 50 times. I take my notes as I'm going, and it's nice. And also she takes her time and walks you through everything more like a tutorial. So it works out really well. I'm doing kind of a more sped up version of what she's done. I have some things that I already made ahead of time because again, this isn't my tutorial, it's hers, but I'm just making along with her because it's a lot of fun. So we'll get started, and so she started with the inside with pages 6 and 51. So let's start with page 51. I'll explain it to you first. So first of all, the paper is a piece of coffee dyed lace paper that I made. She uses the same thing, but you could use any paper, really doesn't matter. And then you add a lace pocket here, which you stitch on, and she uses like she has been collaging envelopes with like nice vintage papers, and so she makes a tag with that and shows you how to do that. I'm using a pre-made tag that I made from my Making House Tags little series or little video. So I really love this cow, and I think that this will be a really fun tag to take along on our little trip. It will make me smile. So that went in there. Then the next page that she worked on, oh, I should mention that this is the size of the journal. This is the excess paper, but you leave it on as a tip out so that you can write more on it if you want to. So the next side she worked on is this one, and it's page 6. So you start out by just taking a piece of nice kind of pattern paper and gluing it down here. So it's a piece of paper that just kind of covers the top, like I'd say 1/3 of the page, just for some decorative. It's nothing but that. Then she used like a piece of a vintage like card or like an envelope that she glued down on cardstock. And then basically what you do is you're going to use it as a corner tuck spot to tuck something into. So what you do is once you've glued this paper down and you've got this pocket on, then it's time to do a bit of stitching. Oh, and you can reinforce whatever you're going to use as your back side, like if you've put cardstock on the back of an old newspaper piece like I have here. I'm using this is actually cut in half. I'm going to use the other half for the other journal, and it's just an old news article about being trout season, and it's this man holding this like whole line of trout, and he was actually sharing it with his friend, and so that'll be in the other journal. And this is like old vintage cellophane tape. Like this is probably, well, it's 1955 trout season. So I thought I would use that. It'd be fun. So what you do next is the stitching. So once you've got this reinforced, and then you don't have it attached yet. Nothing is attached other than the pocket and the paper. So then go ahead and you're going to stitch around the paper and across a little for decoration if you want to. Then you stitch around the 3 bottom sides of the pocket. So that's done. Then you glue on or stitch directly on, which is what I did, this pocket tuck piece. And then she recommends putting a postcard, a vintage postcard in here. I don't have any more vintage postcards. I do have postcards, but not vintage ones. So I decided instead to use this, which is a piece of ephemera that I made for my recent Poison Garden journals. And it is a vintage image of Malamoujar, and it's a beautiful botanical plant image. And so I just rounded the corners, backed it, and stitched around. So it's like a postcard. The reason that there is some fun washi tape here is because we've done some stitching through the paper on the other side, and I just wanted to cover up the knots and reinforce where I made holes with some washi tape. So that tucks right in there. Then this page just stays as is. We don't do anything else to it. Then on the front, it's a little fabric and lace cluster, however you want, and you just kind of glue it down a little bit superficially, and then you hand stitch it on. So let's go ahead and make this one. So this one I am using my own cabbage dyed paper with the lacy print again. So what I'm doing is using my template here. I just realized I'm gonna have to trim. This is a shorter, yeah, that one's a little long. We'll see. I'm not too stressed about it. I can choose to make my cover slightly larger if I want to. So I'm using this as my template to fold my paper in half. Then the excess will show up over here. So then you just fold that again in half. And it's going to live on the back side. So we'll fold it to the back side. And there we go. We have our piece of paper. So I'm going to start the same way. I've collected my piece of lace that I want to put here. So I think I just have to decide which way I want it to go. I might add a little bit of ink just so that it shows up on the background a little bit. So let me grab a dauber here. So the weather is supposed to be nice today. It's supposed to warm up this afternoon. I think I'm going to take a little walk and then, or a big walk, maybe go on a hike actually, and take the kiddos out and then probably come back this afternoon. And we're making a nice dinner today. And then I'll probably maybe film my weekend, my wrap-up video for the week. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this down with a bit of art glitter glue for now. We're going to go back and stitch it later, but this will just kind of keep it where we want it to be. Then I'm going to trim down the piece of paper that I want to use on here. So I'm going to use this kind of peachy scrapbook paper here. I'll just sort of line it up. This glue stick is just about empty, but I'm just going to use the last little bits of glue here just to use them up. This is getting stitched down as well. We're just kind of superficially gluing it down. Okay, move these scissors out of the way. I'm gonna find my little card here. So this is the second half of that picture of this 1955 trout fishing season with this guy. So I'm going to stitch around this card just to strengthen it, and then I'm going to do all of the stitching on the page that we have to do. Let's get everything out of the way real quick. Sewing machine. Okay, I'm just doing a regular straight stitch. I'm only going to stitch on the two sides of this that aren't being attached to the paper so that I'm not like double stitching over it, so that it'll have a little bit of continuity. Let's just stick this back on our prototype and set it out of the way here. Okay, so that's done. So we've stitched on two sides, as you can see, here and here. This is the part that won't get attached. Let me move over so you can see a little. Okay, now I'm going to stitch around this and this. way through, pardon me, the top of the card, or sorry, the top of the paper stitching, I'm going to lay the card down where I want it so I can just add it as the stitching happens. A little bit too. So I did this one a little differently than the other one in that I didn't stitch across the top here. I might add a decorative stitch there though, because it is kind of nice to have, especially with all the stitching on this back page. So let me choose real quick a decorative stitch. I'll just run it here. All right, that's the end of stitching, at least machine stitching. So there we go. Just a little bit of a decorative stitch there. Okay, so this is on now. I'll just make sure that we've still got our folds all good. Okay, so now we need, so this is the part where you would make a tag. So, you know, if you're not familiar with making a tag, definitely check out Nancy's tutorial. So basically you're just what I do with my tags. I actually use my old book page paper that I glue on, and I make like a double kind of 2 pages thickness, and then I collage or do whatever I'm going to add on the front. This was part of just my, I think my Tinker Lab, Tinker Sketch Art Challenge that I've been working off and on. And yeah, I just made this tag with these cute little owls, coffee dyed paper, some scrap paper, stickers, and I backed it and then I stitched around it. The nice way that you can get good corners on your tags is like if you cut one like this, kind of like by eyeball, then take that piece, flip it upside down, hold it on the other side and use it as a guide to cut your tag. And then I just punched a hole here. I brought my fabric through the hole, and then as I was stitching around, I stitched it on. I find that when you're using, when you're doing a tag, stitching the fabric on rather than tying a knot makes a nice flat kind of, it's flatter inside the journal, which definitely for this journal matters because this is going to be a chunker. So, yeah, so this will just go right in this pocket. This lace is a little, oh, did I get a little glue here? Hold on. So you have to do my ruler trick that I do where I loosen things up. Did we stitch over it? No, it's just glue. So just kind of running my ruler, wiggling it around. This is what I often do in case you get a little bit of glue. There we go. So see, the pocket's fine. It's open. It's just sometimes you get a little stray, the tiniest amount of glue. You wouldn't believe how it can just hold something down. So then we just pop that in there. There we go. Now it's comfortable and not going to complain. Then this is the part where you would take a vintage postcard or a postcard, or in my case, a piece of ephemera that I made earlier for a different project. And you're going to pop it right under there, under the tuck. So that is page 51 and page 6 finished. They're done. So then the front is page 5. And so we have some nice visible stitches here, which I really like. Then the bottom here, oh, the other thing about the tag, so part of the guidance that she gives is to use like a vintage focal point. So like cut something out of a vintage magazine or a book and use that as the focal point. Her overall kind of theme is vintage. So yeah, just so you know. Okay, so let me just double check. So we got the pattern scrap paper. Yes, the card. Yes, yes. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. We're good. Okay. So the front is the fabric scrap collage. So I have a few fabrics and lace here, and I just want to sort out what I'm going to do. I really like this. It's almost kind of like an African fabric, and I really like the green in it. So I'm just going to cut a square of it here, and put it here. And then a little piece of like this kind of bluey green fabric with leaves on it. I'm just going to decide how I like this layer. And then we have a yellowy fabric. These are all quilt scraps. So I think I like that. And then I have to decide if I want both of these, one of them. So this is kind of cool. I just don't want to cover everything up here. This is a bit bulky, but it's also pretty cool. So I feel like I would like it there. I'm just trying to decide if I should add the bulk. But then again, this is already going to be a bulky journal. I think I might cut the most bulky section off, which is this middle. That will be better. That's kind of where all the stitches in the crochet like come together in this massive bulk. So, and this will go here. Oh, wrong way. I'm awake. I'm awake. There. So it'll kind of be like a tab too. Then what Nancy does is glues it all down and hand stitches around. So I'm going to just lay this down. Take some, I used glue stick on the other one, but I'm going to use art glitter glue for this. Again, it's just a little bit, just kind of superficially get a little hold on the back. Just keep everything stacked how you've got it, and then lay it back down how you like it. Then add your this again, and this isn't going to need glue because it's too bulky. So then this is the part where you do the hand stitching. You could also machine stitch. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to do some hand stitching now. Where did I put my thread? Right over here. Okay. Just going to tie a knot here. And you can choose at this point if you want your knots on the front or on the back. Last time I had them on the back and I put washi tape on top. I'm just going to remove the card out of here so that I am not stitching through it. This time I'm going to stitch the knot on the front. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to keep my stitches relatively small. And I'm just going to stitch first through this large piece of lace that needs the most hold. Or crochet applique, really. It's part of a doily. Just going to stitch through. Sorry if you can hear my children. Sounds like they're rolling something on the floor upstairs. This is the house of noise. Be warned. They're very cute though, so it's okay. And then I'm just going to follow kind of the outer outline of this whole piece. So then you can kind of cradle this in your hand and just, so you're not having to stab through the back, through the front. Like you can just cradle it and kind of rock your stitch all the way through. There we go. I might throw a little tiny bit of glue on this just because it wants to move around and I don't want it to. There we go. I'm just going to press it down for a second with this card. There we go. Then again, just keep going around your edge. Try to keep your stitches relatively small. I mean, in the event that you care, like I don't terribly care. I kind of like the look of slow stitching anyways. Well, I definitely love the look of slow stitching. But you know, if you're trying to be, I don't know, aesthetic without stitches, more like that's more for like a quilting project or a garment sewing project rather than this. I'd say just sew at a comfortable, quick pace, and then it's all good. Okay, we're about halfway there. This is always the point where my thread starts getting shorter and shorter, and I'm kind of playing thread chicken. Oops, don't poke yourself. And I'm just going to go on a bit of an angle so I can get back underneath this big piece. So what I really want to do is just kind of affix it down. I'm just getting very short on thread here now. This will be my last stitch for this piece of thread for sure, so that I still have room just enough to make a knot. Okay. That's pretty well fixed. I could probably just do a little more. Oops, come here. Come here, bitty needle. Okay. Oops, gluey fingers and threading thread on a needle is not recommended. Be amazing if I can get through this whole video without having to stop and wash my hands like I usually do. Okay, so I just want to now go down the rest of this to just affix it to the side here. I left my needle on the back this time. I know it. That's okay, or my knot rather, which is okay. I'll decide if I want washi on it afterward. Okay, so this side is good. Now I'm going to go and trace down just the middle here. Add a few stitches here, center, and then I just want to grab the one side of this piece of this lace and just go across the top of it because it might flap around if I don't. Back to thread chicken again. But I think that's good. So let's just go to the back here. Make a knot. Okay. Sorry, I slammed my scissors again. I try not to do that. All right, that's that. And then I think I will take some of that washi. Maybe I'll use a different washi this time. And just pop it on. I'm actually going to leave this big gnarly knot here. I think that's cool. Just going to pop one here. Trim that down a little. And another one here. That's the nice thing about washi is it's like in the same way that visible mending is cool, like with stitching. Washi tape is the same. It's that like very cool thing. So we'll pop our postcard back in here now that we're done hand stitching. And guess what? We're finished. How easy was that, right? How fun. So now we have both of these finished for today. And I'm going to put them on the journals, which are around here somewhere. They're there. Okay. Oh yeah, these guys are getting to be very chunky boys. Boys and girls. Chunkaroos. That's okay. So this one, I'm going to use this one, I think. There we go. On there. And then this one here. There we are. 2 chunkies. So they are getting pretty stuffed. Yeah, getting super stuffed for sure. But that's the whole thing, right? With like, it's like a brochure style journal. It's going to have a nice secure binding, and it's going to have a nice cover and something to wrap around it so it will hold it down and hold it tight. So don't stress if you're getting a bit chunky. Okay, so that is my video for today on this. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe. All of my social media information is down below in the description box, and I hope you have a really wonderful day. Take care. Bye.